Welcome to Scale Her Up, the show for female business owners and leaders who want to grow profitable, sustainable businesses without burning out. I'm Dr. Brenda Hector, a business growth specialist helping women develop themselves and their businesses so they can achieve their goals and enjoy the lifestyle they dream of. In each episode, you'll hear inspiring stories, honest conversations, and practical strategies to help you start, grow, or scale your business. If you're new here, hit follow so you don't miss an episode, and come and join our Scale Her Up Facebook community to keep the conversation going. I'm really excited today. I've got my friend, I've known her for so many years, Oyin Adekola, with me today. She's the founder of Keeping It Real with Oyin. Thank you for agreeing to come on, Oyin.
Thank you for having me. This has been long coming for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, you've got some great stories to share. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Let's start with Keeping It Real with Oyin. So this is your, I don't know, you must be a couple of years in now? Was
2 years for full time to coming up to actually it's a year and a half. Full time, a year and a half. Started in December 2024. Yes.
And what do you do, Keeping It Real?
Keeping it real. So I am a parenting and teen coach. So I support parents and young people. It's keeping it real because I don't bring a lot of theory, a textbook. I bring real life. It's real life. We're keeping it real. Practical things parents deal with every single day. Teenagers deal with every single day. I make them realize it's relatable. I'm a parent. I have teenagers and I've supported teenagers for over 25 years. So I jokingly call myself the teenage whisperer because I know a lot of people, they're afraid of teenagers, but I love teenagers because they're just amazing. They're an amazing group of people. So I support teenagers and I support parents to get it right with their kids because a lot of us find parenting quite daunting, and the juggling, especially if you're a career person, juggling parenting and having kids, we find it quite tricky. And I just help people think about how to get it going well. I bring about systems. So just the same way organizations run with systems, if you have a system in which your home run, I know it seems very dogmatic, but it's not. It's when you have a system, parenting makes it so much easier. And just for you to understand how your children think, how they relate, and teenagers are not the enemy in the house. They're actually the most amazing people. It's just about you understanding them. And that's what I support parents with.
As I am a parent approaching the end of the teenage years, my youngest will be 18 next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh my goodness, there's been plenty of times where I would have loved to have had a teen whisperer. What are the issues that you help families with? What are the big challenges that people come to you for?
I think one of the biggest one, and aside from parents of teens, parents with young people, is boundaries. They find it so hard to enforce boundaries. And another thing is parents sometimes feel incapacitated because the government is saying something about how to raise kids and discipline kids. Kids have so much right. Parents are not sure what those rights are when it comes to them. And therefore, it seems like the kids have more power. So they find that dynamic confusing. And then you have the career person who's so busy with the career and is struggling with parenting. And then you have parents of teenagers that can't seem to get through to their teenagers. And that, for me, is one of my biggest clientele. They can't seem to get through. There's always a disconnect.
Communication.
And it's, you know what? It's the easiest thing, but it's because we're not wired to. I think a lot of us, by the time we become adults, we forget what it's like to be a teenager. And only if we can just rewind and think about it, you realize connecting with your teenager is not that difficult. It does take effort. It does take effort because teenagers they're adults in their head. They're trying to figure out life. And we as parents, all we do is tell them what to do. But you need to get to a point where you need to stop telling them what to do. I tell people that the best time for a parent of a teenager, you need to wear 3 hats: parent, mentor, and coach. Once you can understand that, it's not as difficult as you think it should be.
And there are times when you need to be the parent hat on, times when you want to
be the mentor, and times you have to be the coach. So you need to be able to interchange those hats.
Yeah. Yeah, why did you decide to start keeping it real with Oyin then?
As I said, I have supported teenagers for over 25 years. And I'll tell you how it started. I went through a really difficult teenage years. It was quite difficult. And the typical things I had the typical things that teenagers go through, the self-esteem issues, the peer pressure issues. But mine went a little overboard. It was a bit more than that. And when I successfully navigated that, I was so passionate to support other teenagers because teenagers struggle and we struggle with identity, with who we are. And a lot of the time, I don't know, I grew up in Nigeria. My teenage years were in Nigeria. You don't have a lot of parental support when you're in those teen years because parents don't understand you. And of course, it's the way almost all over the world. And now it's the same everywhere. We feel that parents don't understand and parents don't even know how to navigate it. So you find out we as teenagers, we struggle on our own, or we go to people that might end up being the wrong people. But I think one of the biggest things teenagers deal with is identity. So I was so passionate about helping young teenagers navigate it the way I navigated it. So ever since from age, I'm trying to give away my age now. When I became an adult, I was able to start working with young people. A lot of them at that time were not too far up age-wise, but I saw the things, and you know how you're looking at these young people, like, it's not that difficult. All you need to do is think. And I'd always done it. So it was something I was so passionate, and I was fortunate that teenagers loved me. I think because I'm very young-minded. I love what they love. I still forget how old I am because I live in that space. And I think that's what it's always been, but I've never done it as a career. It's always something I've done voluntarily to support teenagers. And then in 2022, when I was thinking I wanted to transition, I'm like, what would I do? I've done what I was doing for so many years. I was in a really bad place at that point. I'm like, I've done this for so many years. I don't even know anything else. And I thought, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And that season of my life was a really difficult one. It's about 2.5 years of navigating that space. And I still didn't know what I was going to do. Then I saw an advert on Facebook. It was for mentoring at high schools. And I applied. And when they assigned me a mentee, you'd think I'd won the lottery. I was so excited. I jumped. I was like, and I'm sure that kid would probably think, what's wrong with this one? And for me, that was a eureka moment. And I'm like, Oyin, this is what you're meant to be doing. I have teenagers that I've mentored. So being a coach is something that is a fairly recent thing, but I've been in the space of mentoring, counseling. And so coaching was something I had to then get trained to do, which was it was a far cry because I came from a background where I'm telling them what to do and I'm advising them what to do. And now you come into the space where you can't do that. You're just meant to be in that space to help them figure things out. So it was quite an interesting transition. It's the same, it's similar, but it's different. You're empowering the young people. They dig out the power from within, which is an interesting space. And I love it. And it's amazing when you see these kids, they just flourish and they blossom. And for me, that is the rewarding thing when they feel safe speaking to you. And when you hear things like, I've never told anyone this, and I'm sure you probably would have heard it as a coach. You're the first person I'm telling this. I've never said this to anybody. And it's just creating that space. So that for me is always I think I've deviated from your question, but I love working with young people. And I think along the way, I realized that we keep focusing on these young people and trying to fix young people. But the problem is from how these young people are being parented. And parents are parenting the way they know. We just autopilot. We're just trying to survive. And for me, it's a case of helping parents think about how they're parenting and the long-term impact of what it is. It's not telling them what to do, but getting them to stay a minute, take a minute and think, just like you with your business, what you do as a business coach. We as business owners, we're in that space. We're just surviving. We're just trying to make things work. But you come in and tell them, take a minute, step out and look from the outside in. and look at where you want to go and what do you need to get there. And that's just the same way I
Same
approach
as you
the
do.
parent coaching. As a parent, just step out a minute. What is your plan for your kids? What's your plan for your family? Okay. Now, what do you need to achieve that? And it's just the same.
And I totally understand the satisfaction that it must bring you seeing young people flourish. I'm a scout leader. We're doing the same. We're taking them out into the outdoors and helping them build resilience and do things that they wouldn't do otherwise, and just building their confidence. And it's really rewarding seeing them grow.
Blossom.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. I have teenagers that I've worked with over the years that sometimes I don't recognize them. They see me far away and they're like, "Hey," and you have some that married with kids and you're like, oh my goodness. And it's just amazing because you might not remember, but they remember the difference you made in their lives, which is always rewarding.
That's fantastic. And if anybody's listening and is thinking that, oh my goodness, here we go, there's a teen whisperer that's going to help me be a better parent or help me communicate better with my kids, where can I find you?
So I'm on every social media platform. Not every. So I'm on social Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, and we have a podcast. You were on my podcast last week. So we're on Spotify, and it's the same name, Keeping It Real with Oyin, all one word.
Brilliant. So it was great to talk about what you're doing now, Oyin, but you've been on a journey as an entrepreneur. This is not your first rodeo.
This is not my first rodeo. It is not my first rodeo, and it's not my first gig as an adult either.
So let's just share with the audience your journey in entrepreneurship. Yeah.
My journey in entrepreneurship.
Let's talk about your previous business.
Okay, my previous business, I owned, before my previous business, I used to work in oil and gas. So I was a market analyst for so many years. And then cakes was something. Oh, so my previous business was cakes. I owned a cake business called O Cakes, and it ran from 2011 to 2024. So that's 13 years.
And you made some fabulous cakes, I have to say. I loved your cakes. Very tasty.
Thank you.
Great. And you built that up. I guess there's a perception that a cake business is a bit of a hobby in your own kitchen type thing, but that is not what Oat Cakes was at all. You had an amazing shiny unit, a commercial unit, and we're doing it professionally.
Oat Cake was a journey. It was a journey, and I think my first experience as an entrepreneur was when I was in just high school. So my first cake ever that I baked commercially was when I was 15. And it felt good. I've always been very crafty. I've loved doing stuff with my hands. So I did everything, dabbled from sewing to crafting, but baking stuck. So all through my high school and uni, not high school high school as for friends, but in uni, I did it as a side hustle. So it funded my student lifestyle. That was uni back in Nigeria. And after uni, I thought, you know what, I wanted to get a proper job. I went to the job market. That didn't work out. And then I had the opportunity to come to Aberdeen to do my master's. And at that point, I eventually got my dream job. And I thought, job, uni. But I eventually came to Aberdeen to do uni. And then coming to Aberdeen, I go into the shops, you can get a cake for £8. I'm like, what? A celebration cake for £8? No chance. So I just bagged completely the idea of making cake. So did my master's, did my job, and then got into cakes. But before I got into cakes, I wanted to work in corporate. I wanted to work in an organization, a really proper organization, because I knew from a young, I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to run my own business, but I had no idea what that was going to look like. I didn't even think it was going to be cakes. I just knew I didn't like being bossed around. So I needed at some point to run my own business. But I wanted to work in corporate so I can see how proper organizations work, having systems, everything. So even though I was working as a market analyst, I was looking at how employer-employee relations were, how bosses related with their team, what worked, what didn't work. So I was looking at all those things, what made people stay, what made them go, and everything. So eventually I resigned and I took up cake making. And for me, when I realized I wanted to do cake as a business, I knew I can't do this from my home. That's not the kind of business I want. That's not the kind of business I want. I want a proper business. So when I resigned and I decided to do cakes, I knew I didn't want a kitchen bakery. So immediately I was looking for premises and I found premises. And even that was like a leap of faith because the rent at that time was unbelievable. It wasn't what I envisaged. I didn't want to spend that much, but I did because it was right bang on in the city center. I thought about the traffic. I thought about the footfall. I thought about visibility. So remember, I'm in corporate. So I wasn't just thinking, I was thinking in a different dimension. I was thinking about possibilities. So I decided to do the cake business. And that wasn't just for me, even though I had premises, I wasn't just I wanted a proper organization. So as I opened the shop, I had my first employee. Within months, I had a second employee. I wanted to run it proper. And as I said, I did one of the reasons I started off in corporate because I wanted to see how a proper organization went. So I went from starting a business from scratch to at some point as a cake business employing up to 9 people in my cake business. We had systems and I know we had conversations a lot because I've been to a few of your coaching things about systems. I was so big on systems because I've always been that person that I work with processes, I work with systems. I believe it makes everything work. And even when I was raising my kids, my home was like military style because it's good for me, it's good for them. When everybody knows how things work, we just work like a well-oiled machine. So I grew the business after we're in the city center for about 7 years. And at every point, I wanted bigger. I wanted bigger. I wanted more. I wanted more. I was never content with so we started making with cupcakes and cakes. And then I was like, I want a piece of the wedding cake market. Got into the wedding cake market. You know what? I want a bit of the corporate market. Corporate cakes was not that big a thing when I started off. So I would go to networking events and people were like, what's a cake maker doing at a networking event? I'm like, the way I'm running my business is not the way you think. So I was doing everything that networking, going into organization, promoting my business. And then I went into team building events. So I was just always looking for things. How can we be better? How can we do more? Always looking for more and more. I achieve one thing, let's do the next thing. And for me, I had plans. So I wanted big. And that's why my cake business was so different from anything else you saw in Aberdeen, just because I just didn't want to do it like everyone else did it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to stand out.
Oh, and you stood out for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know
So
what I love? What I loved about my business, Brenda, and we talked about it a lot of the time. We thought, did you ever think your business function without you? And very early in my business, for me, that was a yes. Because I was fortunate to have a team of people that were as passionate about the business as I was. And we had systems that made it so easy. So sometimes that's why I could go out and try and look at ways to grow the business while the team was in there working.
making and selling for you. Yeah. Brilliant. Brilliant. So a team of 9. That brings challenges.
Oh, tell me about it. Yeah, it does.
So is that the first time you've managed a team?
Yes. No, honestly, no. Because, okay, fine, a corporate team. I've run a voluntary youth organization, and I think that's probably harder than when you pay people.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So I've run coordinated organizations with a large number of people, and most of them volunteers. And for me, it was never a problem. So it wasn't really my first time managing a team.
Do you make some mistakes along the way with
Absolutely.
growing that business, building the team?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. You want to know some of that?
Yes, just think if you can think of one, share a story.
Do you know what? One of the things I learned in business is, and what I took over from my corporate world into my business is every year I did appraisals for my team. Every year. I had conversations with them. Things like, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? What's your plan for next year? And what do you think I can do different as a boss? Oh, goodness. First year, oh my goodness, the feedback I got was hard.
Yes.
It was hard. Yeah, it was hard. So I tried to fix it based on what they said, but I think I fixed it to the other end. So my team was saying that, oh, you're too quick. You're too quick to express and vent your frustrations and just let people know. I just tell them off at that point. And they said they feel too. I said, okay, I'll rein it in. And then the next year, if they did things I didn't like, I just kept quiet. And then the next year they came back and said, Oyin, they don't like it when you're quiet, that it just makes them feel, I'm like, I can't win with these people.
Oh, do you know what I'm hearing? It's like, just be Oyin. Just be you. Your way.
And it took me 3 years to find a ground, because I think a lot of things different again was a cultural thing, was very cultural. So I'm Nigerian. A lot of my teammates were local. Nigerians were, we say it as it is, aggressive. We just, but there's a way we do it here in Aberdeen that you have to be politically inclined to express yourself. So I had to learn. I had to learn a middle ground. So I was myself. And I think, and it helped me to be a better parent. And I think for me, those were the mistakes that I made, because I wasn't sensitive enough to the needs of my team. It was all about, this is what I want. This is how I need it done. End of. And that doesn't work. And I'm actually surprised they stay that long for me to fix to get my acts together.
You must have been doing quite a bit of it, right? They did stay.
Yeah. And you know what? The longest team member I had stayed with me for 1 year short of how long we stayed. So he joined us February 2014. We opened, actually, he stayed with me for as long as so he joined in February 2014 and we shut the shop together at the end of the day. So yeah, I had some really long-standing employees, which is, for a cake business, quite impressive.
Oh, really impressive. Well done. Okay, so perfect opportunity. You shut the shop together.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons I thought it'd be really interesting to get you on the show, Oyin, because I'm aware that the numbers of women starting businesses are equal with men, but female-led businesses don't last or scale to the same extent as male businesses. And I wanted to, you won't be the first, you are the first, but you won't be the last that I'm going to be talking about why female-led businesses are closing.
Yeah.
So if you just share with us that journey and what happened, the decision to actually close the doors at Oatcakes and go on and do something else. When, on the face of it, you were doing really well.
Yes. Honestly, and that was why it was a struggle for me to shut it down, because we were doing really well. So it started in COVID. It started in COVID. Up until COVID, I was going at 100 miles an hour. This was my dream. This was my passion. The sky was the limit for me. And every time I crossed one hurdle, I wanted to do the next and the next. And it was inspiring for a lot of people. And then COVID hit, and I had a lot of time on my hands. We're still opening. I was still working. So I'm going 3 days a week, but the rest of the time I spent with my family. And for me, that was when I realized, wait, what's your idea of success? So again, my story might be different from anybody else, that for the women that shut down. But for me, my definition of success changed. Prior to COVID, success for me was building a huge organization that would last generations, that everywhere they would mention my name, Oatcakes, they would, dimensional cakes. That was my dream. So I was always going further. And then COVID hit and I realized my definition of success became different. I was like, my success for me is my family. I want to, and again, it might be just this for this time, but for me, what the most important thing in my life at that point, I just realized was my family. It's not my business. It's not building a career. It's not having an empire. It was my family. And I went back after COVID and I approached things very differently. I have to say, COVID, we were still in the city center. And it was during COVID that we moved to a bigger premises. So it was a purpose-fitted premises. I spent a lot of money to kit out that space, a huge amount of money. For a cake business, I don't even want to say the figures. They were in the upper region of 4 zeros. It was a lot of money. But that was my ambition at that point. I knew that's what the next thing I wanted to do. So we moved into that premises in May 2021. And come December 2021, I realized I don't want to do this anymore. I thought, oh, are you nuts? Because I thought, okay, maybe it's a midlife crisis. Midlife crisis. Because when that thing just hit, it was December 2021. It was the December holidays. I was at home and I said, I don't want to do this anymore. It didn't make sense because I've just spent a fortune on this new space. So I just ignored that feeling and I kept going. And with every hurdle, it was becoming more difficult. Every month, it was hard. I'm like, but I just kept going because I thought, it doesn't make sense for you to stop now. But I didn't want it anymore.
But your heart's not in it.
My heart was leaving. I couldn't keep my heart in that space. As much as on paper it made sense, it didn't make logical sense. That, this is what you wanted. This is what you've achieved. You've achieved that would be every cake maker's dream. Because in that space, I was having corporate clients. We were busy. And this was the peak of the business. We were running classes and parties every week. We're doing weddings. We're serving corporate. Brenda, a cake business. I had a receptionist.
Yeah.
We had an administrator. It was a full proper. And who at that point says, I don't want to do this anymore? And you know what? For me, my heart was just leaving with every day. Every bit of my heart was leaving the business. And it got to a point where it was a struggle. I was just trying to force it.
So how do you open up about that? How do you, how did you tell your husband that, like, this is not, I've done all this, but it's not for me? How do you tell your staff that?
I couldn't tell my staff.
No.
I couldn't tell my staff. So I remember I think I told my husband about it. And I think he just encouraged me because I think all of us didn't know the extent in which it was affecting me because it didn't make any logical sense. And then I remember speaking to somebody I met, Gillian Fowler. She was a mindset coach because I was in BNI then. And I don't know, she was the first person proper, aside from my family, that I'd mentioned it to, how I felt. And I didn't even know how I felt until I articulated it with her. And I realized I can't do this. So at one point, I tried to silently put the business on the market because I thought I can't shut it down because it's such a good business. I need somebody to run with it. I was approaching large food catering businesses to see if they could take it on. But it wasn't, no one wanted it. And the other cake makers that I was not they said it's too big. It's not, they can't, that's not. So I basically created a monster that nobody wanted. And you could tell at one point things were dropping because my heart, I just didn't have the gas to keep pushing. Sometimes I go networking, I'm like, what am I even doing? The spark just left, and it was a struggle. And I remember the one person told that I thought would talk me out of it. And that was when a weight was lifted off my shoulder. I called my mom one day and I said, Mom, I can't do this anymore. And she said, it's okay. Whatever makes you happy. And I think that was all I needed. That was the only, because my mother is an entrepreneur. We come from a line of business people. And she, even till now, in her 70s, she's never worked for anyone. Well, she worked when she was probably in her 20s, but she's always done her own thing. So I thought she would be like, what are you doing? You have to keep going. And she said, no, you can stop. And I think that's all. And I think that's all I needed to hear. My husband was support. My sisters were very supportive because they felt my pain every night. And every night I cried. But I showed up at work every day, smiling with the energy, but I was dying inside of me. I had to pick up hiking, did a lot of sports just to keep my mental state intact. But inside, I was dying. I was dying. And the reason I just couldn't stop was because I thought I had a team, I had people that I was supporting who had worked with me for years. I had clients that, where would they even start from? Then I had people that were looking up to me. So I was thinking about everybody else but myself.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, I thought, you know what? I can't do this. I was just dying. But I was the only one that knew how I was dying.
So if there's anyone listening or watching this that's feeling like that, what's your advice to them, Oyin?
I'm like, you need to stop thinking about everybody else. And you know what? When I eventually told my team, because I thought they would be in panic mode. So we shut business in August. And I told the manager, I told him in January, and I said, this is how I'm feeling. I've carried this weight for 2 years. And he was so supportive. And I think it was maybe 3 months after that, I ended up telling the rest. And I said, you guys start looking for work. And when you look for work, just take it. And they said, you know what? We're not going to look for anything. We're not going to leave until the last day. And I think sometimes we're more afraid for what we think than the reality.
Yeah.
We're more fearful of what the effect it would have on other people and what people would think. But at the end of the day, you need to take care of yourself. I had a man who came into my business when he found out that I was about to shut shop. He's been in the catering business for so many years. He's in his 60s. And he came to me and he says, you're so brave. I've wanted to do this for so many years, but I can't find the courage to do it. And I look at it like this. I only have one life to live. And I need to live it in a state of happiness. I need to enjoy my life. Success for other people might be the material thing, but that's not my definition. I want to live life and I want to be happy. So if what you're doing isn't making you happy, and the same goes with your job, if you're working in an organization and you hate it, but you're just too afraid to move, how much longer are you going to be in that space? And that was a space I was in my corporate job when I just took that leap of faith and resigned and did cakes. And of course, I did it because it was something I wanted to do. I was passionate about it. And then it left me. I could have stayed there and said, and which was the thing, it took me 2.5 years, but what would I do? What would I do? But you know what? I thought, I just know I need to get out of this space. I don't want to imprison myself in what is familiar, even though it's not bringing me joy. I was dying.
Oyin, what you've described is something that a lot of people that I've interviewed talk about in their getting out of that employed thing and starting up for themselves. And it's interesting that the getting out of your own business is almost the same emotional journey as the one.
I think it was worse. It was
Yeah.
definitely, it's worse because this is my baby. I grew it with 20 pounds. My first cake in Aberdeen was 20 quid. That's how I started my business, with 20 quid. And I built it into that giant, enormous business. This was my baby. I saw it grow, so it was hard to let it go.
But now, I guess, and I know that you disappeared from networking and whatever for a while. You
Went
went
into
into
hiding.
yourself, didn't you?
I went into hiding because mentally I was grieving and
That
I was grieving and I was, can't even describe how I was mentally. I couldn't I didn't want to see people. I didn't want to talk to anyone because I can't express how I was. It was a time where I just needed to be away from everybody. I just needed to figure things out.
but now, like a couple of years on,
Now I am living, I am so happy. I'm living life the way I want it to be. Am I making as much money as I would love to? No. But in this season of my life, this is what I want to do.
yeah.
This is where I want to be. I want to be able to invest in my kids. So I have one of my children. She's does competitive sports, which takes us all over the place. My son is heading to uni. This season of my life, I want to be able to invest in my kids, in my family. What happens maybe the next 5 years, it's another season. And I say to people, life is not linear. It's not linear. You don't have to tow the same path forever. Allow yourself to experience change. Life is dynamic. Life has seasons. For now, this is my season to support parents, to support young people. Who knows? Next 10 years, I might be doing something else. But for now, this is what I'm doing. And I enjoy it and I love it. And this is my happy place.
So no regrets.
None. None. People ask me, oh, would you ever regret, or do you think you ever go into making cakes? I'm like, no, that season is gone. I would never go back to that season. No regrets, none, not one. Honestly, I have none. And the reason I have no regrets, maybe because it took me 2.5 years to make that decision. It
Yeah.
wasn't just something I did like that. It took me a long time to get to that point.
So what did you learn about yourself, Oyin, over your years of entrepreneurship?
That I'm still learning. Remember, I'm still an entrepreneur. I'm still doing business. And what I've learned about myself is I show up better when I'm myself.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to write that one down.
And society likes to put you in a box, how things should be done. But you need to be true to yourself every single time. And for me, that has helped me. So even in what I'm doing now as a coach, I know that I'm not everyone's cup of tea. And that's fine. I'm not here for everyone. I speak my truth. You take it, you don't like it, it's fine. And I think being true to yourself makes running your business so much easier because you're not trying to keep up with the Joneses or try and do what other people expect you to do. Or this is how things should be done. When you're true to yourself, it brings out the best. It brings out the uniqueness in your business. You're not a copycat. You're just unique. People just know you. They know your voice everywhere you are. And I think being true to yourself, that's what I've learned in my business. When you're trying to be something that you're not, it's more difficult because it doesn't come natural.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've experienced that as well, actually. And I see it with lots of other business owners, and lots of people that I've interviewed on here. It's
Yeah.
about being authentic, isn't it? And life's so much easier when you don't have to pretend to be someone you're not.
100%, 100%. Just be true to you. And the thing is, I say in this life, there's no human being that can please everybody. So since you know that's not possible, why not just be yourself? Be yourself because you're not going to please everybody anyway if you try and be somebody else. Just be
Yeah.
true to who you are. And then the people that love you or love what you do will gravitate to you. You're not here to serve everyone.
I think that's a brilliant message. Thank you. Do you have any other message for women who are looking to start, scale, or exit a business?
Just do it. Life is short. Life is short. Risk in business, you have to take risk. You know what I say to people? I would rather do it and fail than not do it. And the thing is, when you don't do it, you have regrets. I wish I did. I remember people think, oh, you're so brave. I wish I could do it. I'm like, so what's stopping you? What's stopping you? Just in case it doesn't work, then it's fine. Try it. If it doesn't work, then go back. But you know what? You will live and die regretting not trying it. So if you want to scale, scale. What's the worst that can happen? You go back to where you started from. But what's the best that can happen? You become an empire. You want to start a business. What's the worst that can happen? You fail. But you tell yourself, I tried it.
Yeah.
You're in that space where you hate what you're doing. You want to change. Rather than allow yourself to be imprisoned by something you don't want. Live. You only have this life to live.
Yeah.
Live it without regrets. You never know until you try it. And that's what I said. I've done the three. I've quit my business to set up a business. I've quit my job to set up a business. Did I have regrets quitting my job when I started my business? Absolutely not. I ran a successful business. I shut that down. I stepped away. Did I have any regrets? Absolutely not. Because I did what I wanted to do without thinking. Fine, I spent time to think about what other people would think. But at the end of the day, it's not about people. It's about what makes you happy.
And the
Just
people
do it.
who are important to you are only the ones that are really close, your
Yeah.
family. And yeah.
Yeah, those are the people that you need to convince. And once you've convinced them, then go ahead with. And the reality is that sometimes the people that are closest might not even buy into your thought process. But hey, sometimes you have to just do what you know you need at that time.
Oyin, we've run out of time. There's so
Oh,
many
no.
more things that I could have asked. Just going back to, obviously, you're working with teenagers, and a question that I ask a lot of my guests, actually. If you could go back and meet your 18-year-old self, what advice would you give her?
Do you know what? I think I'm an unusual breed, Brenda, because I think I became an adult really early. So it would be hard because my 18-year-old was pretty screwed on.
Here's another way of thinking about it then. What advice would she give you if you met her now?
What advice would she give me when I met her now? She'd probably say, just have fun. Have fun. Just be a kid. Enjoy. Don't be too uptight. And I guess that's why I'm so free now. Because
I know you. I've known you for years. I think you're still 18, to be honest.
yes, and I think I like that question you asked me because the advice my 18-year-old would tell me is when you're a teenager, you could have just let loose, just live, enjoy life, and I think that's why I live it now, and I'm still very youthful in the way I think. Maybe because I didn't have that opportunity. I was too mature in the way I was thinking as a teenager that now I'm like, it's not that deep. Come on, life is short. Yeah, so I like the way you twisted that question. I like that.
Oh, brilliant. Keep it real.
Keep it real. Oh,
Oyin,
Uh,
thank you so much for
this
being a
was-
guest on the show. I've really enjoyed it.
thank you. And thank you for keeping me at ease. I wasn't sure what to expect, but this was good. I really enjoyed it.
Good, good. And thank you to you for listening to Scale Her Up. If you enjoyed this episode, follow the show and leave a review. It helps more female business owners find us. Come and join our Scale Her Up Facebook community to get support, accountability, and connection with women who get it. And remember, only 1 in 3 UK entrepreneurs are female, and men are still 5 times more likely to scale their business beyond £1 million in turnover than women. When we start and scale our businesses to the same extent as men, we'll add £250 billion to the UK economy and create millions of jobs. So ladies, you can do it, and your business can make a massive difference.